Welcome aboard to On Deck with Mike Stewart. All right, so today in this episode, in this newest edition of episode of the Limitless, we're going to tell you what happened to our chef on board the Limitless. What happened to our chef? So, on a super yacht, just like the Limitless, many yachts have their own private chefs on board just for the crew. 9 times out of 10, when the owner comes on board, he brings his own chef that travels with him. In the Limitless's case, it was not his private chef from his residence. He had multiple residents, as you're well aware if you know anything about Mr. Wexner and his properties. And it's kind of been in the news lately with this Jeffrey Epstein scandal. So he didn't travel with his own personal residential chef. He had a chef that only accompanied him when he went on the yacht, the Limitless. So the Limitless crew, we had our own chef. He makes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's great, feeds the crew wonderful. As you can imagine, you're living on board a 5-star luxury hotel. You're eating pretty good. He can buy whatever he wants. We could eat steak and lobster every night if you want to, and let me tell you what, you'd get tired of that quicker than you think. So we are in Barcelona at MB92 Marina, downtown Barcelona, and we're going out to a normal, I believe it was a Thursday night. We're a crew's going out, a couple of us going out, down and we're gonna go party and hit the clubs, drink a couple bars, and have a good time. So it's about 2 a.m. We're wrapping it up. Me and a couple of the other crew guys, we're like, okay, we're calling it a night. We're heading on back. I mean, it takes about a half hour from this nightclub to walk back to the marina. And it's already 2 going on 3 o'clock in the morning. So we see our chef at the other side of the nightclub at a table with none other than the Jeffrey Epstein. So they're all over drinking, partying, having a good time on the other side of the club. We try to get his attention. We're all quite aware who Jeffrey Epstein is. He is Mr. Wexner's money manager. So he happened to be in Barcelona visiting Mr. Wexner or visiting the boat. I'm not sure. I never saw him on board the Limitless, at least in Barcelona. But then again, I wasn't there every single day. So music's pumping, it's thumping. I mean, the thing about the Med, Spain in general, Barcelona in particular, man, they don't even get started until about midnight, okay? It's a whole different life cycle, time frame, tranquilo over there. You knock off of work about 4 or 5 p.m. Everybody goes back to their homes and then they rest and relax for a few hours. Dinner in the States, it's kind of like 7 p.m. sort of a deal. People are thinking about supper 7 or 8 p.m. Over on the countries along the Med, and supper might not be something until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So they have a little snack, a little siesta, and they relax. And then people start moving around about 10 p.m., getting showered, getting freshened up, changing their clothes, and start heading out to the clubs, the nightlife, the bars, between 11 and 12. So really, it doesn't even start kicking until about midnight. But anyway, we've been out since 6 o'clock. So we've already been out partying for 6 hours. So we're pretty good and lit and wasted and stoned out of our gourds. So we're trying to grab our chef and bring him back. You know, it's just like the motto in the Army, you know, in battle. You never leave a comrade behind. And that goes for a club as well. You don't just leave somebody in a club by themselves, even though he is with a friend of the yacht. So we just wanted to make sure that he knew we were leaving and tried to grab him, bring him with us. But of course, he wanted us to stay, wanted us to join their party. There were 4 of us, and we didn't particularly care to fraternize with the owner or the owner's associates. It's really not good business. The chef is sort of on a different level in that respect, because even though he is a member of the crew, he's obviously another crew member, he's sort of one step up between the captain and the crew, and he spends more time with the owner. Sometimes he'll assist the owner's chef when preparing a meal. So he has a little more interaction with the owner. So for him to be hanging out and hobnobbing with one of the owner's associates, like Jeffrey Epstein, maybe he could get away with it. I didn't feel like we could or should. We're at this station, they're at this station. That's just how it is. And especially in yachting, it's extremely clear and drawn out line. So we begged off, we tried our best to get him to come back to the boat with us. He decided he was going to stay and continue. I mean, they were beautiful young women. I don't blame him, but I was already 3 sheets to the wind, so I had no business. So we left there and staggered back to the boat. You know, we still have to get up. Doesn't matter how drunk you are or how hungover you are. When the crack of dawn comes, you got to get up on deck. Got to get up on deck and make sure that boat looks show ready each and every morning. And there's plenty to do. We had plenty of teak to clean, exterior to clean, stuff that needs to be shined and polished. They were there working on the engines down the engine room, constantly taking stuff off, bringing supplies on. Plenty to do all day long. So we weren't surprised when we all got up and were in the crew galley that there was no breakfast prepared. You know, no eggs Benedict, no shit on a shingle, no toast, no nothing. So it's like, hey, we're cool. We're all big boys. We can take care of ourselves. Get a bowl of cereal, make a sandwich, whatever you need to do. Boom. 11:30, we break for lunch. We head down below to the galley. It's pretty quiet. Nobody hears any pans rattling or dishes rattling. So man, our cook has not yet made it back. So we're like, okay, that's fine. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll make some, we all pitched in. We made a bunch of sandwiches, bologna, ham and cheese sandwiches, and we got it done. Everybody got some chips and then some waters and sodas, and we were fine. Usually about 3 o'clock, the activity in the galley starts to percolate. You really start to hear pots and pans because the preparation for dinner. But 4 o'clock came and went, and nobody had seen our chef. Not a word. So here we are. We missed breakfast. We missed lunch. That's fine. No big deal. We take care of ourselves. But hey, you know, we all have equal responsibility on board, and his was to make meals for the crew. Now here comes dinner. No meal. All right. We're getting a little worried too. Where's he at? Nobody's heard from him. No phone calls. Captain hasn't heard a word. Nothing. So we make a slipshod dinner, clean up real quick, and we decide we're going to break up. So it's probably about an even dozen of us broke up into small groups and decided to go out, get to all the we've been calling the hospitals. We're going to the clinics, the hospitals, police stations, start walking all over the city, beginning with the area that we last saw our chef. Me and another crew member, we go backtrack to the nightclub, see if anybody had any information. Nobody did. So we're leaving the nightclub, and I try to get in I try to get in the mindset of a drunken sailor. I can do that. I've got experience with that. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm leaving the nightclub by myself. Now that was, mind you, he might not have left by himself. He might have left with old Jeffrey Epstein and his companions. But we're lost. But we're saying if he did leave by himself, where would he go? So we took the main drag, and we're like, what's the first thing that happens when you leave a club? You gotta go pee. You need to pee. So he's gonna try to find some place, some dark alley to pee. And then as soon as you pee, what do you wanna do? You wanna get another drink. You want another beer, right? That's just a natural progression. So that's just a natural progression of things. So we're looking for another drink, and we see this neon sign shining up on the second floor by this alley, and we're like, he probably finished peeing and saw that sign, like, I'm gonna go get a beer. So we also headed up there. So it was this curved staircase leading up to the second floor. We went in there. Nice young Barcelonian woman greeted us, and we were trying to explain to her in our very poor, broken Spanish to look for our friend if she'd seen what he looked like, our chef. She was going to check, ask a couple people, but no, she didn't have any information. So we're looking around, and it's full of billiard tables. Not American pool. They had 2 American-style pool tables, but mostly European billiard-style tables. And other tables, other rooms for cards or dominoes. It was like a gentleman's club for real, for gambling. So we asked if we can get a couple of beers. So she's like, great. And we're walking around, and we're like, hey, is it okay if we play a game of pool? And she's like, okay. So we start playing pool, drinking beers. Now we're like 3 beers into this thing, and we're like, man, now I got to use the bathroom. I got to go pee. So I'm looking around, and I see this little hallway in the back. Now, mind you, this place has separate rooms. There were probably about 20 guys, all older Spanish guys, big mustaches, mustache peaked looking, guys. No women, no girls in this place, just all guys. And so I go back in this hallway. There's chairs stacked up, old tables, mop bucket, mops, ringers, cleaning supplies. And then the hallway opens up into this huge room with this big cathedral dome ceiling and a big tile floor with a red tile, pink tile circle in it, and this really strong odor of bleach, like a really strong cleaning solution. And there's nothing in this room. It's a big freaking room. It's like, a big, huge cathedral dome, right? Huge room. There's some furniture pushed to the side, but probably 300 people could fit in this room, no problem. So I'm looking at it, and the bleach is hitting me and smell, and I'm like, wow, this is weird. What's this right here off this club? What's going on here? So anyway, boom, sure enough, there was a bathroom off to the side. So I go back outside. I go back into the pool hall and tell my friend, I said, man, you should go check that out. You got to go pee. Go check it out. It's back there to your left. But tell me what you think. So he comes back. He's like, what the hell? What's going on back there? And so we're like, man, what is this place? So we leave. We've been there for over an hour now. And at our tab, we had like 6 beers. We played 3-4 games of pool. And it cost us like $6, $7, $10 for the tip. So we're like, we're coming back here. This is great. What a great value. So we leave there and we head on back to the boat, and we're thinking to ourselves, man, what is going on there? It's that big room with a big circle. We were thinking like death match or cockfights, right? Maybe cockfights, because the bleach, clean up the blood, make it all clean and sterile, right? Anyway, who knew? Day 2, we can't find the cook. Nobody's heard from. We've called everything, getting everybody involved. Day 3, still searching for the cook. We've hit everybody, walking up and down alleys. Maybe he's laying in the alley with his skull cracked, got mugged, got robbed. It can happen. We don't know. So finally, after 3 days, we get called in by the captain and said they've heard from the cook. He's with Mr. Epstein. He flew back to the States with Mr. Epstein on his jet. He lost his phone, he said. He didn't have his phone. So anyway, he's fine. We don't need to search for him anymore. Matter of fact, this is coming from the captain, he would appreciate it if we just don't talk about it anymore. He doesn't want to make a big deal out of it. The chef didn't want to make a big deal out of it. He's very embarrassed. He took some drugs. He was drunk. He blacked out. So he said Jeffrey didn't know what to do with him, so he just kept him with him, and they lowered him on board. I don't know. That sounds a little wanky to me, but that's what he said. But anyway, so our story was, no more talking about him. You don't need to discuss it any further. That's the word that came down from on high. So we're all like, bullshit. We spent like 3 days searching for this guy. We'll talk about him if we want to. You know what I mean? So we're like, whatever, man. We got the right to talk. We're going to all call him up and talk. Hey, man, where the hell you been? We've been out here looking for you, and you've been out here jet setting with the rich and famous. And, we're out here crawling all over Barcelona, every street and back corner or alleyway of Barcelona. Of course, me and Rob were going out and drinking cheap beer and playing pool at this gentleman's club. And every day, every night when we searched for him. Until that all came to an end. So, finally, I think we'd been there for about a week, and what problem was, Americans do this all the time. If it had just been me and the other crew member, we'd have been fine. We probably would have been fine. They probably would have allowed us to continue to come visit their private, because we found out that it was a private club, members only. And they were just sort of tolerating the curious Americans that had wandered, stumbled, because it's not on the main drag. It's off the beaten path, on the second floor from back of the alley. They were like, how did you even find this place? So when we started bringing other crew members, and we're like, man, you got to come check this place out. The beers they're like 75 cents a bottle. We can play pool all night long. It costs us like $10. It's great. So next thing you know, we brought one friend, one crew member, another crew member. Next thing you know, there's 4 or 5 of us. They had enough of that. They kindly, politely asked us to leave, explained to us what the situation was, and could no longer extend their hospitality to us. I hope they understood. They hoped we understood. And we did. I did. So that's what happened. That put into that. So again, you never know. You just never know what you're going to find out there. But get off the beaten path, take a look around. You don't know what you're going to stumble across. But you know what? You know what we found out was going on in that big dome, cathedral dome room? You never did. But there was something going on. I'm telling you, there's something going on. That bleach, that big circle. They were using that for something, and I just had this feeling in my gut. It was, because there was some gambling going on up in that club. They were serious about their dominoes. Oh yeah, there was some money. They had chalkboards with names and numbers, and there was some money changing hands. So they were big time gamblers in that private club. So I suspect that in that room there was something to do with gambling. There you go. That's what happened to our chef. And we were told that if he was going to come back to the boat, he had to first complete a drug and alcohol rehab program that the company, that the Limitless L Brands, Leslie Wexner, would pay for. And that went for all of us. If we discovered that we had a drug or alcohol problem, we can seek treatment and they would pay for it. Pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it wasn't cool that he just took off and never told anybody, and for 3 days we were worried sick. I thought that was bullshit, but he never came back. So, next episode, no, I don't know. Say hello to our new cook, Renee. That's right. You just, boom, they're interchangeable. You lose one, you stick another one back in. Even though not in a million years would I ever want to be a yacht chef. I can't think of a more unthankful, unappreciative job on a boat as being the chef. That is a hard gig, folks. I ain't gonna lie. I watched him work. I mean, just even for the crew, you gotta please 18 people, 18 different tastes, 18 different diets. Can you imagine the pressure of being the owner's chef? Of pleasing the owner and his family and guests? You pick the wrong dessert. That's it, you're gone. That's all I gotta say on the subject, so kick your shoes off, welcome aboard. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen out there. Let's get to it.